So now that we have all this information, we need to ask the obvious question. Why did this happen? And to me, there's two possible reasons. It's either because of a street altercation, in which I really just kind of explained that there was something that happened the day before he was shot that people think led to him, being unalived. In which we're going to talk about that next, most likely. And then there's number two, which I believe is more of the reason, which is there's a deeper ritualistic reason. I actually put reaction, but I meant a deeper ritualistic reason, not reaction. But those are the two really reasons why this could have happened. And to be frank, it could be a mixture of both. Okay. But I'm going to explain what I mean with these two possible reasons. Okay. So with that in mind, let's get into the first reason, which is a street altercation that actually happened the day before on August 6th. Let's take a look at that. All right. So looking at this next slide, the young lady in this particular photo is known by her rap name as Baby Threat. Okay. She is another local New York rapper that Chicken Dada got into it with on August 6th, 2025, the day before he was unalived. Okay. Now, let's actually look at the video clip of what happened on August 6th, the day before he was actually shot. Okay, let's take a look. So as we saw there, that was actually Chicken Dada that basically got into some type of altercation with this local female rapper from New York named Baby Threat. Okay. And as we saw, he actually he hit her. She falls to the ground and everything like that. Now, people, of course, are speculating that this is the reason for him getting shot the very next day. A lot of people are believing that it was her that actually sent the thug to actually shoot him to basically avenge her. Okay, that's what I mean by it could have been because of a street altercation. Okay, street beef, ops. Okay. But is that really the case? Okay. Now, I will say this. Even if we look at it from this angle, there's still an esoteric component to this. And allow me to explain why. Okay. When you actually look at different videos of people reacting to him hitting her, a lot of people are saying and implying that he basically deserved to die because he hit her. Now, and it's very surprising that it was actually mostly men that I was watching that were actually giving that sentiment. Now, it's not so surprising because of what I know. And that's the reason why I named the video the way that I did. Local New York rapper Chicken Dada was unalived by a thug. Okay? Because a lot of these men, a lot of these people are making this speculation that, oh, he shouldn't have hit her. He was wrong. Notice we came in the middle. The video starts in the middle of the altercation. We don't know what led up to this. We don't know if she hit him first or what happened. But people are automatically saying that he was wrong and he basically deserves to die for hitting her. But that makes no sense to me on a two-dimensional level. But three-dimensionally, it makes sense. Why is that? Because a lot of these men are thugs. Yes, I said it. A lot of these men are indeed thugs. They have this thug spirit on them. Now, a lot of you are looking at me like I'm crazy. Kaniba, how are they thugs? Because you have a specific image in your head as to what a thug is, what a thug looks like, and things of this nature, not knowing the origins of what a thug is. Okay, there is a reason why a lot of these male YouTubers are just jumping to the defense of this woman, not knowing all the details of why that transpired. I'm not saying if Chicken Dada was wrong or right, because I don't have the full context. But most people and most men, they automatically jump to her defense and go as far as to imply that he deserved to die because he hit her. Let's just say that what he did, that he was 100% in the wrong. He had no reason to hit her. That's still not a reason for him to die. Okay? The equivalent of him hitting her, wouldn't that be a man coming back and hitting him? Or maybe you would say, well, okay, well, he's stronger than her. Okay, then wouldn't the equivalent be him getting jumped by multiple men then? But not dying. She didn't die. You see the point I'm trying to make? But here again, that is the spirit of a thug. And now allow me to explain, because I know I got a lot of y'all confused. Let's get into it. Okay? Here is some information on the actual origins of what a thug really is. Okay? And it reads, the term thugs refers to members of a now defunct Indian criminal cult who were believed to worship the Hindu goddess Kali. Aha. They engaged in robbery and murder, often as a ritualistic practice in Kali's name. The cult was active for centuries, and various Indian and colonial powers attempted to suppress their activities. Now we're getting context here as to why I call a lot of those male YouTubers thugs. What am I saying when I call them a thug? These are simply men that worship the divine feminine. Because that's basically what a thug is. They worship and venerate the mother goddess Kali, or the divine feminine. Okay? And in the ancient time, these men actually killed in the name of Kali. They sacrificed, murdered for Kali. Okay? And that's why I said a thug was sent to unalive Chicken Dada. Because let's just look at it from this perspective. If it was really her that sent this man to avenge her for getting knocked down by Chicken Dada, let's just say he sent her to do that. Or that she sent him to do that. Okay, that's the spirit of a thug. Again, this is a man that's basically worshiping the divine feminine. Okay, you don't go kill somebody just because a woman sends you to do it. But again, these men have a thug spirit on them. This is really the origins of what a thug is. But this particular spirit is running rampant within the black community today. Okay, the black and brown community. Okay, now you should understand further why I said a lot of these men are thugs. They have a thug spirit on them. Okay, let's get more information. Let's take a look here. Okay, so this is the next slide, and it reads, it says, Thuggee was a network of organized crime in British Raj, India, in the 19th century, of gangs. Again, notice how gang culture is prevalent within the black and brown communities. Okay. It says that in the 19th century, gangs that transversed the Indian subcontinent, murdering and robbing people. Is this not prevalent within our communities? Let's keep going. It says a member of Thuggee was referred to as a thug. So the group or the gang organization was known as Thuggee. The members of that gang, Thuggee, were referred to as thugs. And these particular thugs, what were they known for? Worshipping Kali, venerating the divine feminine. Okay, is this not thugs today? How many men within the black and brown community are 6 feet under right now because some woman sent some thug to unalive them for whatever reason? And you mean to tell me that's not the spirit of a thug? But let's keep going. Let's continue. So here's the next slide, and it reads, the thugs were purported to have murdered their victims by strangling using a bandana as a tool. Make a mental note of that. We are coming right back to that. I know it's a lot of stuff I said I'm coming back to, but this is a focal point. Okay, I'm about to give y'all some real context. Okay, let's read that again. It says the thugs were purported to have murdered their victims by strangling using a bandana as a tool. The thugs were believed to practice their killings as a form of worship toward the goddess Kali. Again, the foundation of the thug is the worship of Kali, the mother goddess, the veneration of the divine feminine. That's why a lot of these men automatically jump to the woman's defense to the point where they excuse murder or are willing to murder for a woman. That's the spirit of a thug. That's just simply the veneration of the mother goddess. That's why this is prevalent amongst black men. Black men, we have this generalization of being thugs, but what is the deeper meaning of that? Okay, that's why when you look within the black community, some of the biggest simps are indeed thugs. If you're willing to throw your life away by murdering somebody for a female, that's simply just that's subliminally you're sacrificing to Kali. Okay, but anyway, let's move forward. It says for centuries, the authorities of the Indian subcontinent, such as the Khalji dynasty, the Mughal Empire, and the British Raj, attempted to curtail the criminal activities of Thuggee during their rule. Okay, so now let's move forward. So here is a picture of actual thugs. Okay, these are actual thugs, okay? This is the origin. Okay, this goes back to ancient India. This is where your thugs go back to. Okay, worshippers of the mother goddess Kali. Okay, that just got incorporated over here in the West. Okay, and it's prevalent amongst so-called black and brown people, black and brown men. The worship of the mother goddess Kali. Okay, a lot of you just don't know it. Okay, but this is a depiction of ancient thugs. Okay, so moving forward, here goes a depiction of thugs actually sacrificing to the so-called goddess Kali. Okay, you see that? This whole thing about thugs, this whole concept goes back to ancient India. It goes back to the Elamites. That's their name biblically. Okay, their most ancient name is the children of Elam, Elamites. Okay. Another one of their ancient names is not the oldest, but another one of their ancient names, they were Persians. Okay, and now they are East Indians, but that's what this concept of the thug goes back to. It didn't start with us as black men. Okay, we adopted it unbeknownst. Okay, but it goes back to ancient India. Okay, let's move forward. All right, so here's a little information about the so-called goddess Kali. And what I want to do is I want to look at the very last sentence in this paragraph. That's all I need. Okay, and it reads. It says Kali is chiefly worshipped as the divine mother, mother of the universe. Now watch this. And divine feminine energy. Okay, divine feminine energy. Did I not say that a lot of these men today, they venerate the divine feminine without knowing it? Well, that's what this so-called goddess Kali, that's what she represents, the divine feminine. Okay, let's look at a depiction of Kali. Let's look at the next slide here. So this is the so-called Indian goddess Kali. Okay, she's always depicted as being blue. Okay, with a numerous amount of arms. Okay, now we already talked about the concept of the blue man. Okay, oftentimes is associated with people of color. Okay, it's usually most times it's associated with us as Israelites. Okay, but what I really want to point out here is the other people in this particular depiction. Notice it shows her basically killing men. Okay, that's one of the things she's known for. She's basically the man eater, the destroyer of men. That's what Kali represents, believe it or not. Okay, so we see one man with his head chopped off, another one dead with a snake around him, and she's got her foot on his chest, showing basically dominance. Okay, that she's overtaken him. This is Kali. Okay, and to be frank, well, but before I even say that, okay, a lot of you may ask, you will say, well, Kanaiba, we hear what you're saying, but all of this goes back to ancient India. Why is it being venerated over here in America? What does America have to do with that? You do realize that America is Babylon, right? It's confusion. That's what Babylon means. It's confusion. This place takes, it venerates the different mystery school systems of old. And it's not just from one particular society. It comes from different cultures. Okay, this place venerates the gods of ancient Egypt. Okay, the gods of ancient Greece, ancient Rome. Okay, different Celtic gods, things of that nature. Even and of course, as we see here, even so-called gods and goddesses going back to ancient India. This place is pure confusion. And not to mention ancient Babylon, too, of course. Gods of ancient Babylon. But to really bring that home, to give you context, if you really don't think America will venerate gods from other societies, let me ask you something. There is a feminist magazine called Miss Magazine, right? Who was on the cover of the very first edition of Miss Magazine? Do you know? Well, let's take a look and let's see. Okay. Now, would you look at that? Who's on the cover of the very first Miss Magazine? It's Kali. You want to know why that is? Because feminism is basically rooted in paganism. That's the foundation of feminism. It has nothing to do with women's rights. Okay? What feminism is about is the worship of the mother goddess, the veneration of the divine feminine. That's really what it's about. That's why they had to have Kali on the cover of the very first Miss Magazine. Now, of course, we know Kali goes back to ancient India. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, isn't Miss Magazine an American magazine? Okay, so it's not far-fetched for the concept of the thug to be incorporated here in America if Kali is being venerated here in America. Okay, her worshipers are the thugs, thuggy. Okay, so again, bringing this full circle, this is why I said these men. Okay, let's bring it back to the man that shot Chicken Dada. He was a thug. Okay, if this is the angle as to why he was murdered, if this was really because he hit this woman the day before, okay, she sent a thug, aka one of her worshipers, a venerator of the divine feminine, to actually unalive him. It's still that spirit of a thug that goes back to ancient India. Okay? Now, if that's not enough, I want to bring something back to your remembrance. Now allow me to give you context. Okay, let's go back. Watch this. Remember I said we was going to spin the block on this point? Okay, look at the very first sentence. It says, the thugs were purported to have murdered their victims by strangling using a bandana as a tool. Now, this goes back to the ancient thugs of India. And one of the things that's associated with them is the bandana. Now, a lot of you, especially if you're into hip hop, there's one particular person that should come to mind that really proves my point. Okay, who am I talking to? Who am I referring to? Okay, let's look at the next slide and allow me to have this checkmate. Watch this. This is a man by the name of Tupac Shakur. Okay. Now, allow me this checkmate, please. Okay. Now, look at the tattoo on the man's stomach, please. This man promoted the lifestyle of being a thug. This is what he was known for. He has it tattooed on his stomach. Thug life. Okay? Now, let me ask you, what is one of the things that Tupac was known for as far as his dress code? Look at the top of his head. Oh, a bandana. He was always known for wearing a bandana. Why is that? Okay, even right now, if you go on Google Images and simply type in Tupac, most of the images that comes up is going to show him wearing a bandana. But why did the powers that be have this associated with him, the wearing of a bandana? I'll tell you why. Because this goes back to the real thugs, the ancient thugs of old. The ancient thugs back in India. We just read that the bandana was associated with them. They used it to kill their victims. Okay, there's a reason why they had Tupac. They had him tattoo Thug Life on his stomach and wear the bandana because he is a modern embodiment of the ancient thugs. Okay, this actually goes back to ancient paganism. Okay, Tupac was indeed in the craft. And there's very little doubt in my mind that he knew what he was doing. Okay, he definitely knew what he was doing. All right. Now, with that being said, you have to understand, again, the thug, he venerates the divine feminine. They worship the mother goddess. Look at the tattoo on Tupac's chest. Okay. What is that a tattoo of? Okay, let's actually zoom in a bit here. Let's take a look. Now, when you zoom in, you actually see this is actually a tattoo of the Egyptian queen Nefertiti. Okay? So that tattoo actually goes back to ancient Egypt, the ancient Egyptian queen Nefertiti. Right? So, again, this is further proving my point that he does venerate the divine feminine. Now, a lot of you will say, well, she was an actual queen. She wasn't actually ancient Egyptian goddess. Well, let's get a little bit of information on Queen Nefertiti. Okay, let's take a look. So in this slide, it reads, while Nefertiti is primarily known as the great royal wife of the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten, some interpretations suggest she was also revered as a goddess. Allow me to repeat that part. Some interpretations suggest she was also revered as a goddess, particularly associated with the concept of Ma'at and the goddess Hathor. Checkmate. But it says her depictions, especially in the context of the Amarna period, I guess that's how you pronounce that, Amarna period, showcase her power and influence, leading some scholars to view her as more than just a queen. Again, why does this man have Queen Nefertiti tattooed on his chest? It's because he venerates the divine feminine. He's a worshiper of the mother goddess. Okay? He is a quote unquote thug. This tattooed on the man's stomach. Thug life. But it's just that you, the viewing audience, don't know that there's a deeper esoteric reasoning behind this persona that he took on, being a thug. This wasn't just some regular street thing. This is pagan. It goes back to the mystery school systems of old. Okay, let's move forward. So here's a picture of Tupac from what I believe is one of his more renowned photo shoots. The photo shoot he had where the background was in all black, which lets me know 9 times out of 10 he was a Saturnian. Okay, but in this particular photo, okay, what is the focal point in this photo? The focal point is the ring on his finger. Okay, that's the subliminal message that they're trying to send out. What is that message? That message is that he venerates the divine feminine. He's a worshiper of the mother goddess. Now, how did I come to that conclusion simply looking at his ring? Okay, the ring is shaped in the form of a pentagram. Okay, some people may say a 5-pointed star, which that's really not a star. A star is a circle, but it's the shape of a pentagram. Okay, and there's a reason why they want the focus to be on that ring. He venerates the divine feminine. Let's prove that. Let's get some information about that particular shape. Okay, this ring he has on. Okay, let's take a look. All right, here's the next slide, and it reads. It says, yes, the 5-pointed star or pentagram is associated with the mother goddess and the divine feminine in various traditions, including Wicca, where it represents the balance of the 5 elements and the integration of the goddess's energy with the material world. While the pentagram's primary modern meaning in these contexts connects to the balance of the elements and protection, its historical roots also tie it to the planet Venus and goddesses like Inanna and Aphrodite. Oh boy. Okay, now Inanna, aka Ishtar, was the mother of whom? Tammuz. Tammuz, who was sacrificed, right? Here again. And this is the role that a lot of these people play on the left-hand side. Tammuz is basically the Christ or Messiah figure on the left-hand side. Okay, and we know that that's a role that Tupac played. Okay, he was like a quote-unquote Messiah figure on the left-hand side. That's the way he was viewed, even to this day. Okay. But yes, so now we see that particular symbol, that the pentagram, aka the 5-pointed star, is associated with the mother goddess and the divine feminine. This is why Tupac was wearing that ring in that particular photo shoot. And you could tell by the way he was holding his hands that they wanted the focus to be on that ring. Why? Because, again, Tupac is a thug. Okay, going back to the ancient thugs who venerated the mother goddess Kali. Okay, the divine feminine. It's the same thing. A lot of you don't realize that, again, these rappers, a lot of these celebrities or what have you, they are within the craft. They know what they're doing. You're just not privy to what's going on, but they are. And they convey these messages subliminally, just like in that particular photo we just watched. He's letting you know, I venerate the divine feminine, and it's their job to slowly get you to do the same thing. Okay, but again, This is letting us know the origins of the thug. Again, bringing this back to Chicken Dada. Okay, that was a thug that unalived him, that killed him. Okay, because again, there's a reason this happened the day after he got into that altercation with that particular female rapper. Okay, so that's why I say, even if that's the reason why he died, there's still an esoteric understanding even from that angle. Okay.